believe it or not, even though we've been complaining about football not being entertaining, which is understandable, there's actually some drama around the NFL this week. What is going on, everyone? That is right. There is drama and there are storylines around the National Football League right now, and I guess it does make sense that we've been complaining because realistically, it's not like the talk is about anything that actually was on the field for the most part. It's all these other storylines, off the field issues, and let's start off with what the hell is going on with Antonio Brown? We knew he was a diva. We knew he was this guy who was going to start all types of controversy with his personality. And he's complaining about this helmet issue? I mean, it's pretty clear to me. It seems like this guy doesn't want to be there for training camp. He wants to walk all over the organization and try and skip out of having to do anything this offseason when it comes to preparing for the season. I mean, I don't get it. A helmet? Really? Like, you are putting all of your eggs in this basket to fight for this helmet issue? And also, keep in mind, he's going against all of the other players in the league because player safety is what these players fight for all the time, understanding CTE and issues like that. Antonio Brown is going up against everyone else, saying, I don't care about the safety. I care about my vision in this helmet. That's sad. I don't understand it. Don't you want to play football at this point? Don't you want to put the crap behind you? Everything that happened with Pittsburgh and all the noise surrounding your name about how you're a bad teammate and how you're hard to deal with. Don't you want to put that behind you and just focus on playing football? One interesting point I heard is maybe he sees dysfunction in the Raiders organization and that's pissing him off. Now, you can argue that he is the disruption, but takes one to know one. So because he understands that he's a hassle, he can see, and because he knows that he's dysfunctional, he can see that from the organizational standpoint, and maybe he's pissed off about it. I don't know. That's just one thought process when it comes to this situation. But it's unbelievable. I remember hearing all the Raiders fans, look what we did. We got Antonio Brown, as if they just forgot about everything that surrounds him. And now they're seeing it. For Antonio Brown to fight about this and to file another grievance towards the helmet, it's much more than just the helmet. There's some other situation going on. Because that doesn't make sense. There's no reason to fight that. If there were no other issues, you wouldn't really be living and dying by a helmet situation. You'd get your ass to camp. You'd be competing and battling with everybody else. Mike Mayock even came out and said, listen, he's either in or he's out. He's either in or he's out. Because the Raiders are fed up with it. And I don't blame them. But do you really think the Raiders are going to end up making a trade now after all this? I doubt it. This Baker Mayfield Daniel Jones thing is odd. So there's quotes out there from Baker Mayfield in an interview about how Daniel Jones was the wrong pick and the Giants have to think about winning football games, not just picking a quarterback. And now Baker Mayfield is denying it. And it doesn't make sense. Seriously, it doesn't make sense for Baker Mayfield to be ripping apart Daniel Jones. It seems as if, and this is what Baker Mayfield is claiming, that the media ran away with something and completely butchered the entire story for clickbait. And realistically, that's how journalism works. And I believe Baker at this point. With everything I'm understanding right now, I believe Baker because from a kid who was an underdog throughout his entire career, not making teams, walking on the squads, being who he was in college. He was an underdog story the whole time. Well, you can argue here that Daniel Jones is definitely an underdog coming from Duke, being booed by all the New York Giants fans, right? So why would Baker Mayfield hate on a similar story? It doesn't make sense. So as someone looking and reading into this and looking at all the details surrounding it, I have to believe Baker Mayfield right now. It's funny because Daniel Jones actually put out a quote here saying, "I think he is a great player. He can throw it, and I enjoy watching him play." So that was his response to hearing Baker's comment. So he was going with the very professional, somewhat throwing shade by being very professional answer, which is typical Eli Manning, I guess you would say. Maybe Eli had something to do with it. One thing that does have to do with on the field, though, is Jimmy Garoppolo. What the hell is going on with Jimmy Garoppolo? You could argue before he even got the payday from the 49ers, you didn't really see enough being the backup in New England. He gets hurt. Keep in mind, it was a brutal injury that takes some time. He's now back, and in practice, he's throwing 5 interceptions, and then he gets out in a game, and he looks horrendous, and he threw an interception. It realistically could have been 2, but a defender on the Broncos dropped it. He looks horrible. It looks like his feet, it looks like they're just moving the whole time. They're not set because he's nervous. He's throwing off his back foot. Jimmy Garoppolo looks horrible right now. Could you imagine paying this man and him looking like this for the rest of his career after that injury? Now, I will say he looked solid before the injury. I didn't really question the 49ers for going after a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. I didn't see enough, but it's not like it was the worst decision in the world, in my opinion. But it would be catastrophic if this man played like this for the rest of his career after paying him, and then he got injured. I hope he finds a way. I mean, at this point, it's mental too, though. He's got a mental block involved because it hasn't been so great, and there's a lot of pressure, and the media is pounding him. He looks bad. Real bad. Jerry Jones. Oh, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones makes a comment sarcastically to the media in regards to Zeke Elliott, because they got this hot new toy, if you will, that had a nice solid day at the office in preseason, nice running back who can really change the pace, and he made some nice plays. And after the game, he says, "Zeke Who? Oh, Jerry, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And of course, Zeke Elliott and his agent find it disrespectful. Well, didn't you think that was going to happen, Jerry? Now, during the interview, Jerry states, listen, I'm joking. He says that, but why put yourself in the position to even have Zeke say he's disrespected? You're putting yourself in a position that was easily avoidable. You could have just answered by saying, yeah, it would be nice to have him and Zeke be together, and I can't wait to make that work and make that happen. Okay, that's a different outcome then. But you're bashing Zeke, and I know you didn't say it like this, but this is how it can be perceived. This guy can do what Zeke does. He put his foot in his mouth, and there was no reason to. It was avoidable, and that's on him. It's funny. It's been a boring-ass preseason. There's no denying that. A lot of fans are unhappy. The product of football, it's not there. It's not there. But this is the first start now where, this is the first little run with a lot of noise. And at least it's something. I mean, it's giving me something. I need something. Even for this preseason Week 3 game, that used to be the game where you can at least find a little bit of anticipation for. You can't do that anymore, and it's 2 days away? Right now you have the Eagles and the Ravens battling it out on the gridiron in practice for the last 2 days there. You got nothing. So you got to rely on news like this, but at least we have this, because there's been a couple weeks here where nothing, literally nothing. I guess the last bit of news is Josh Gordon, and he's allowed back in the NFL, and we'll see how that all goes with New England. Obviously, they need a receiver to go with Tom Brady, and Josh Gordon is very good. It just comes down to, will he ever actually be able to stay on the field without getting back into trouble? And we know he's battling through some things. So, from a personal standpoint, I hope he can battle that demon, because I don't wish that upon anyone in the world. With that being said, though, I want to hear your thoughts on these topics. You have the Antonio Brown helmet situation. You have Jimmy Garoppolo struggling and looking bad. You have Baker Mayfield and the Daniel Jones comments. Do you believe Baker Mayfield because he's saying that the media is kind of running with a different story, which in today's world is very believable? You got Josh Gordon. I want to hear your thoughts on it. So, thank you so much for watching. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. See you next time.